Hey guys, welcome to another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. On today's bus ride, we are playing against a 10K on OGS. They are knocking on the door of single-digit Q. And so in this game, we get a little too greedy, do some overplays, and potentially our opponent catches us, but you'll have to see how the game goes. But before we get into the game, we've got an announcement. So there's a series I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's going to be coming out in the next couple weeks. It's going to be the Beyond the Basics series. So at this point in time, you guys have seen a lot of me playing and following the Struggle Bus basic rules. But there's more to it than that, and you guys know that there's more to it than that because those rules really only help at the beginning of the game. But then we get to the middle game, and then what? And so there's been a series of videos I've been looking to do, and so I'm calling them the Beyond the Basics series. And so we're going to be going over how to attack properly, how to play with strength and thickness properly, how to assess cuts properly at a basic level, right? The target is still, we're still targeting to help double-digit Q players here, but these will probably be those who are getting closer to that single-digit Q barrier. And then going forward in our bus ride games, we're going to be referring to both rules lists. So hopefully that is something that you guys are interested in. Anyway, been excited to get to these videos for a while, and I'm happy that I'm finally able to do so. So you guys can look forward to that. Anyway, as per always, I'd like to thank our opponent for playing us today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching these videos, and I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel. So with that out of the way, let's get into this game. Okay, let's go. We are white against a 10K on OGS. We'll be following just our basic rules for now. Next bus ride, we will start with the Beyond Basics. But for now, we are still just keeping it to the basics. Though, I've been playing with Beyond Basics the whole time, so I just really haven't been referring to them as part of the rule set. But that will change. So anyway, let's see how well our friend does with following the rules. Okay, so far so good. We will just do the basic variation. We'll come back. I'll extend. This takes the corner. Black will extend either low or high, depending on if they want to take influence territory. We will go and approach this 3/4 stone. We'll do it low, just mixing it up. He approached high, so I decided to approach low. Really no rationale other than that. It's kind of preference for most of the time. So if you want to play E16 there, that's perfectly fine. Okay, and so he plays the Kosumi. We will just go and take our base. These two stones, nice and strong. They're pretty much impossible to attack for a long while. So black will usually play away or will come immediately approach at C6. So let's see what our friend does. Okay, and he does extend, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we've got two more corners. We've got the 3/4 and the 4/4. 4/4 is more versatile, so we will go approach the 3/4 stone and we will play high. Here, there actually is a reason for this. We have a third line stone here, so I want some fourth line stones up here. So we will most likely do the same variation that we did at the bottom. The only difference is, assuming black comes back, is I will go and take the fourth line stone because we want to balance our third line stones here. So we've got some third line stones, and so now we want a fourth line stone here. This gives us some more potential on this side. Another perfectly reasonable move. These two stones are safe enough as is, but you want to know what? If we feel like we're being pressured by this, we can go and take this slide. We know that this is a good shape from the 4/4 Joseki. I know this is not a 4/4 stone, but this is the same exact shape for white. So this looks nice and strong for us. Keeping the Fuseki nice and simplified for now, because the game's going to get plenty complicated once we head into the middle game, so we do not need to complicate it right now. I'll tell you what, though, our friend is doing a perfectly fine job navigating the beginning of this game. So they approach, I will back off here. It's worth noting when they played O17, there's now a weakness at P17, which I might be able to show later depending on how the game goes. It's too early to do it right now, but just to show it a little bit, if we play here and black covers, if we play here, now this cut threatens to kill these 2 stones, and if black goes here, we can do something like this to threaten to connect here. So there's some Aji. There's some good Aji there. Okay, so black has played on this side as well, which really threatens to do some mean stuff with this corner. So we are just going to extend here to claim our corner. Otherwise, there's some mean Aji. And since my opponent's taking a little bit of time, which is perfectly fine, we can show that Aji now. So let's just say we had played away. If black plays here, and then we block, and now black pushes, this Hane we really can't do anymore because black can play here, and we can, if we connect, now black connects out to this C8 stone, and now white is locally dead here, which is pretty bad, right? So we need to respect that. Once this C8 stone gets there, we really need to respect what this F3 stone can do. So that is why I chose to block here. We will notice that our friend is playing a lot of third line stones. We've got 2 third line stones here. We've got third line stones here. This is a little early for this reduction. So black plays here looking to either connect under or take the outside. We will just play on top, which will force black to play there. And then we can play this Hane, which will somewhat force black to connect. And that is fine. We can just play, you want to know what? We can just play the Atari. So with black connecting, we have 2 cuts, and we need to protect one of them. Both leave some Aji. I'm just going to connect here because there's going to be Aji on this first line no matter what. So might as well protect the outside. And what I mean by that is if I protect this cut, then there's this, and then there's still this first line stuff going on. So there's really no way to avoid that first line stuff. So might as well just protect this and let black get 1 additional push. This will be okay. So now black looks to extend the left side, and we may need to do something to spice this game up a little bit with these closed shapes. The games usually actually, while they are simplified, they're tougher in my opinion. Tougher to play and tougher to analyze. So I think we need to do something to mix things up a little. So we're going to play this invasion, which should isolate the stone a little bit against our stones. Of course, E8 is placed well for this stone to run. But this will give us something to do to try to attack and or reduce this group to see if we can get something in the center. But this was kind of played just to mix things up a little bit. Try to get some kind of attack and defense going on as opposed to just us building our territories and they building their territories. Okay, and so black plays the diagonal. Normally you want to play this diagonal if you are confident that you are going to kill this stone. If you're not confident, then you should not play this diagonal because it's weaker shape and it forces us to get a little bit stronger, which is what's going to happen here. So we are out. We're definitely not dying now, and now these stones can be more easily surrounded than they could before. So now as we jump up, depending on how this ends, if we get to play a move like F6, now all of a sudden these stones are going to be in a lot of trouble, as where if this stone was at F5 instead, then the stones would be much tougher to surround, which is why G4, very forceful move. Okay, we will, so black is peeping, we will just connect. I'm not sure what this peep really gets black because there is a cut here now. And I might just take this cut right now because it seems quite large. So let's go take this cut because there was a cut here. It is important to protect our cuts, and it is important to exploit any cuts that our opponents leave us. Okay, this does not protect the cut. This actually makes the cut more severe, which it's going to be a little problematic for our friend, because now we can play here, which threatens to kill these 2 stones. And they Atari the cutting stone, which is a big mistake from cross-cut fights, which you guys will see when that becomes a rule. So this is a beyond the basic rule. Do not Atari the cutting stone, because now we get to extend, which gets our stone more liberties. Still threatens to kill these 2 stones. And if we play H2, these stones are dead. So we'll play H2. So this is the trouble you can get into when you play G4, trying to kill stones that can easily get out. Again, it would have been safer for black to have jumped instead. So this is a prime example of the trouble you can get into. Okay, and so black has seen what's going on there, and that's fine. Black chooses to Tanuki, and I like this Tanuki. I think this is a fine move. We will block. Black should play H16 now. A little unfortunate, but we will block. We will give black what black is looking for. Okay, and so then black predictably jumps out here, looking to build this up, but it's going to be tough to do that. We've got a very strong group here, got a very strong group here, so we can play something fairly deep in here, and be able to reduce it. So there's actually no urgency here. So let's play a move like 06 to expand our area. I just need to look at if this is okay, and I think it is. We'll play here. There's some, there's some cuts that can be made or threatened by black, but I think it'll be fine. We can give up this stone if needed to build up some more center. So let's see how black approaches this. Okay, so black pushes here first. So we can block here, or we can block here. I think blocking here is going to be better. Because we're already strong here. So there's a cut that black can make by pushing through, and then we block here. Black can play here to cut us, which can be an issue, but we're already strong on this side, so I do not believe it will be an issue. But it's important to know that this cut exists in this shape, because this is a shape that comes up a lot. If black plays, for example, S4, we can Atari. Black gets the Atari, we capture, and then black extends. And here, that cut and extension isn't a big deal, but there are plenty of board states where that would be a big deal. If these stones were black instead of white, that would be pretty problematic. So I'm just going to connect here because obviously we need to protect what's going on here. Okay, so black is playing the wedge. That's fine. We will take this Atari. And now we have a cut here that we need to protect. It's important that we protect our cuts. So we will play here and protect the cut. And now you can really see how important it is to have these stones over here if we're going to allow black to take this, because now black can get a 7 in Sente because it threatens to kill these 2 stones. But fortunately, black has nowhere to run over here. So black jumps out. Not really sure where this stone plans on going. I think at this point, it's just important that we reduce the largest area on the board, which is here. So the question is, how deep do we think we can go? And it's a little tricky to go into that. But there are a number of factors, so let's go into them. So it's important to know how strong black is in the area. This group's very strong. This group's very strong. So black can push us either way, and it'll be problematic. Often in that situation, you want to draw a line between the stones that you're trying to get past. And the rule of thumb is you can play on that line. So around here, if we think we're winning, we can play one further back. If we think we're losing, we can play one further in. That's the general rule of thumb. But in this case, we have 2 directions to run because we have a very strong group here and a very strong group here. So I'm going to say that we can play 1 deeper in. Kind of just making that rule up, but I think it's fair in this situation. So I'm going to play right here. Any deeper than this, I think would be asking for trouble. So let's just play here, which is 1 deeper than that line says we should play. But because we've got 2 directions to run, I think we can get away with it. So black has blocked one of our directions. We can no longer attach to this or connect to this group. So it is time to run to this group, and it is time to run quickly. This is not a time to play slow. We are going to run fast to get out of here as quickly as possible, acknowledging that some weaknesses are going to be left behind, and that is okay. This stone is allowed to be sacrificed as long as it is for the greater good. So, as a precursor to one of the videos, the Beyond the Basics videos that's going to be coming up, where we talk about cuts, this is a shape that gets pointed out in that video. And so I think it is important that we show this shape right now. Then you guys can watch that video later of how when our opponents play like this, we have to figure out, can we take this cut? We know there's a cut there. The question is, can we get away with it? And in this case, I think we can, because we've actually got some kind of, K12 is a somewhat strong stone. This is very strong. So as long as we strengthen this up, everything will be okay. So let's go take this cut. We will play here, and we will take the cut. So this is I like this response by Black. It's a very natural response. So let's try to actively surround, because one of the goals from this is we could use this cut to make this group stronger. If Black is spending time to capture these cutting stones, we can use this time to connect up and get strong. And so that is a fine way to go. We could have gone the other way too and played these forcing moves first and then played the cut if Black didn't fix. But this is a more interesting way to play. Though it can potentially get us in trouble as well, because we are leaving cuts. We have a cut here, we have a cut here, and so we need to be a little mindful of that. Okay, Black is looking to split our group. That is fine. We are going to play this Hane. And then we are going to connect here. And so Black needs to be a little careful. I don't think Black should be looking at this cut, though Black might be looking at that cut, because this group is getting surrounded. Okay, but Black does take the cut. So what are we going to do now? We are going to extend to get some strength for our weaker group while attacking this. I'm considering this the weakest group of Black. And Black plays here, which is fine. So now let's see, maybe we can run back to this group. So let's play something like this and see how this goes. Black will be able to connect, but now we can play here, which threatens to connect. And we have this sneaky little Atari here. It's cute. So Black may need to connect here. Otherwise, we can cut Black. And this is a little complicated. So we can play here, or we can play here. So here, I'm going to take this Atari, going to sacrifice this stone, and probably sacrifice these two stones as well. So it took a little more reading than I like to do in these bus ride videos, but reading is important. So taking this Atari, if Black captures or connects, we can play here to get this Atari, and then play here, which gets a double Atari. We'll sacrifice these stones, but then we'll get this capture, which will make this alive. And remember, I said I was willing to sacrifice these stones. This is really problematic for Black, because now we just get to capture, and this group is fully cut off. Black really, really needed to capture. So now the question is, are we in trouble on this side if Black takes this Atari? And so you want to know what? We have to keep in mind that there's a cut here and here. There's a lot going on. So we will just consider this a success. We will protect this and take our prize of just this reduction, this was the goal all along, was to get a reduction here. So we need to keep our eyes on that, right? Where we have to keep in mind, we went in with a plan, and our plan was, let's go reduce and get out and connect to something. Were we successful in that? Yes. And if the answer is yes, then You don't need to get more. Okay, that is important here. Worth pointing out, this shape, very important to know. When black captures these 2 stones, we get to immediately capture back. It is not a ko. Okay, this would actually be worse if there was only 1 white stone here, because then it turns into a ko. But here, we can play away. If black chooses to capture, we just capture back. And black really needs to capture. If black doesn't capture, then all these stones are going to die, which would be quite unfortunate. Okay, we'll give him one more shot here, and we will just block. Black really needs to capture now. Maybe I lied because this does threaten to disconnect us. So we will go. So kudos to you, black. That's one way to do it. But now we can do some more shenanigans. We can play this, which obviously threatens to kill this stone. And if he saves that, we can capture this stone. Because now, we can just drive the stone up right into this one. And so now we are fully alive, fully connected, and this should be a pretty straightforward game from here on out. So let's see how it goes. Okay. We will just extend. Okay, so black has backed off. We are fully alive. We got in Sente, so let's go play some large endgame moves. We are pretty much at endgame at this point in time, so now we're going to be looking for moves that are Sente for us and or Sente for our opponent. So here we played this. We will play this now. This is Sente as well, because if black does not respond, then we get to jump in and really reduce the side. So now we'll go here. We'll play this large endgame move. We're now at the point where second line moves just are big. Second line moves do eventually become large. And so that is where we are at now. So we'll play this Hane. Same thing as over here. There is some Aji that we need to be a little careful about over here with the D18 cut and the C17 forcing move, but we are fine for now. Let's go play another sneaky big move, which is T12. It would have been Sente for our opponent to play here, and now black is going to have to eventually play S50. Not right now. Too early for it now. Good move by black. I like this. We will block. Okay, and they back off. Let's just continue our reducing ways. That is all we need to do right now, is reduce. And so we're going to reduce, play the big second line moves. We'll connect. This comes in soft Sente because N1's pretty big now. Fine move by our opponent. We will absolutely just block here. Okay, that is fine. We'll just connect. Okay, so black looks to block that off. That is perfectly fine as well. Let's go take our big Sente move over here. And let's go push in a little further. And I just realized this group's not alive yet, which means that a move like this probably comes in Sente. So let's play this and see if black sees the threat that is going on here, because black's group is not alive yet. Black does somewhat see the threat, but I wonder if this was the right move. So we can push in here, which will force black to play here. We can push in here, which will force black to play here. Now the thing is, I think if we play L3, it locally kills the group, but black can play N7, which comes in Atari. We'll have to connect. So let's just play this clunky looking move and see if black plays L3. I think black needs to play L3 here. Otherwise, it might be a dead shape. Black plays over here. We'll respect that. We will just play here. We don't want to go and kill the group. That's not what we are here for. But I think black needs to recognize that L3 might just kill this group. Okay. So where do we want to play now? I think now we can play T13. Threatens to kill those stones. I'm sure black will do something about that. We can play this. Same thing. Black's just going to have to block. Nothing too crazy. We'll play here. Threatens this cut. I don't know if the cut actually does anything, but it threatens it. Okay, and we can take this Atari. And we are just pretty much fully in endgame at this point in time. Push again. And now we can play here, which threatens this cut. And we can play here, which threatens to push through. Just simple endgame stuff at this point in time. What else can we do? We can play this, which threatens to play here, which would do some bad things for black's health. So I think black needs to play something like O11. Good job. And now we can play here, which threatens to play O10 to kill. And so now black is alive with 2 whole points. So at this point in time, I think we've done enough endgame. I will catch you guys at the end of this game, and we will go over the review from there. Okay, so here we are at the end of the game. Not too much happened since last time we spoke. Of course, we did let black live, which is perfectly fine. So let's take a look at the review of this game and see where our friends could have done better. So looking at this from the perspective of black, everything is fine here. Black, he did a fantastic job at the beginning of the game. Just minor criticism here. Typically, when we play this variation, we want to leave these 2 stones alone. This is not a big mistake, but if this is the variation you want to play, I would expect black to fly a little faster here, because these 2 stones can handle a lot. They're very, very strong, so they can handle anything that white throws at them right now. So this would be a better way to play, or look to extend off of the third line stone there. But this is reasonably fine. Okay, so we approach. Black does a fine variation here. Again, it's worth noting that when we play high, there is some Aji here that we need to be careful about. If black covers here, playing this threatens this cut. So if black does something like this, then these 2 stones die. So black can't do that. So black is typically going to connect. And now, white could potentially get a little stubborn and do something like this. And, could muck things up. White could also just play here and force the connection here and get this outside stone. And none of this happens if black plays here, which is why we normally see this move. But this is all fine. Nothing too big white yet. This is a little small. When we're looking at this in terms of the basic rules, we still have a corner that's open. And this is a really small side. There's really not a lot of points to be gained here for either player. So this corner, going after the corner, would absolutely be high priority right now on this board. So this was a little small, gave him the benefit of the doubt, went and strengthened our group. And then, he did find the timing to go and find a good approach on this. So again, I think black handled the beginning of this game really well. I like this move. Forces us to take the corner. Black could have also just done our variation here and and then done something like this and then taken here just to force this. It makes the corner a little bit smaller. Playing here, it gives us the opportunity to play this first. Not a big deal though. Then black decides they want to reduce here. Perfectly fine move. This does strengthen us though. One of my big kicks a couple months back was strength of groups, where this is a fine result for white. You might look at this and go, oh, white got 0 points here, but we weren't looking for points. We were just looking for strength when we played a move like this. If we cared about points, we would have played R10, but that's not what we played. We played Q10, which says I want influence. I want strength on this board. So when we get to here, we have maintained that strength on the board. We actually have a ton of strength now. And this group really helped us later in the game when we needed to invade the left side. So this is a fine move too. I don't like this playstyle, but there's nothing wrong with it. One of the reasons I don't like it is I typically don't do well against it. So that's a me problem, not a them problem. This is a perfectly fine move. Black could have looked to be a little more greedy. I think this would have been fine. But I think this is a fine move to play. Black could have done the same thing on this side, but either way, we can't really critique this move too much. I just wanted to mix things up. This is probably the first mistake, the first like actual mistake I'd say Black made. And we saw the end result, right? We saw that that G4 ended up dying. And again, we play this move if we're confident we can kill H3. If you're not confident you're going to kill H3, then you shouldn't play this diagonal. You should instead jump. Black could also choose to just connect directly. White can play here, and then white can do this, but then black can just play on top. Force the capture here and play this, and now white needs this, else white's locally dead. And so then black can play something like this to connect up. So there are options here, but this one's a little dangerous because it does not fly out too quickly. If we wanted to fully rescue this stone, we could just jump out here. But with this, it creates a fight that black probably doesn't actually want. And then here, black just simply went the wrong way. It is clear that we are running together out this way. Both of us are running this way. And then black decided, nope, just kidding. I'm going to run the other way. And that was unfortunate because this gave us the timing to go and take this cut. I think here, instead of falling back, black could look to make a move like this or like this, move in the direction that we actually care about. But yeah, this gave white the timing to go and take this cut. And then black went and Atari the cutting stone, which is a little unfortunate because now black doesn't have the time to get both A and B. Black needs kind of both of these moves now. Here, as clunky as it is, black could play the empty triangle and then look to do something like this and now connect underneath. But this doesn't look great. It's tough. This was a painful cut. But taking the Atari, having to fix that, and then letting us get this is probably where things really started going south. But black recognized that, played a good move. I mentioned here, instead of playing G17, the normal shape is to attach again, let white wedge, we Atari, white connects, and then we connect whichever cut we think is more important. In this case would be this. If white wants to take this cut, he can be our guest. So this is a good result for black. But black really doesn't lose too much, and black gets a good finishing move. So this is all fine. This was a good attempt by black, but ultimately I don't think it really did too much. Black should probably just ignore this for now and maybe look to run out, or maybe look to cap this group to really build our potential here. Because this just got white a little more strength than white probably deserved to get. And here, this is a tough move to answer. It honestly is, because you want to kill this stone if you can, but if you try too hard to kill this stone and you fail, you end up losing so much. But we can't play a move like this. This is just way too timid. We want to play a move like this, but is it going to work? It's tough. This is a tough move to answer. So black looked to block. That's an option. We run out, and then black played here. Honestly, I got a little too bloodthirsty here. I think we just play here. Say, yep, this is fine. But I wanted to make things. I knew that this was going to make the game more interesting, and sometimes I fall prey to that, right? So I played here, took the cut, and then we got a really cool fight. Out of it. But at the end of the day, I'm talking about, the profit from this fight is connecting up, and we could have done that without the fight. We could have just played here and just been done with it. But, Sometimes I get a little bloodthirsty too. These things happen. So yeah, so we got this very interesting fight. And I was a little surprised to see that black took the cross cut. But honestly, I'm not sure what else black can really do here. It may have been stronger to go this way, because this maximizes black's liberties. But it's tough to say. But because there are cuts here, there's a lot going on. I think that probably would have been a better way. This gave us a few more liberties than black had, and I think ultimately that is what ended up getting us. Here, black probably just needs to connect. Then something like this happens. And we can go here. But now we're forced to live in here, which is not going to be easy and or possible. So I think this would have been better for black. Unfortunately, black was already in Biyomi, probably didn't have the time to read that we can play here to threaten to connect. If black connects, we are connected because we can go this way, take this Atari, and then play here. And now black is netted. And obviously, if black plays this way, then we get to go take this cut. And here, black made a big mistake by playing this. Black really just needed to take, I think. I think this is just stronger, because really our only out now is to play this into this Atari. Black gets this, we get this. But this looks good for black. This doesn't look bad. This, unfortunately, now that we're just fully connected up, it does not look too great. And from here on out, I think the game is kind of out of control for black. And we kind of saw how that played out. So I'm not sure there's really any value in going over the review at this point in time, because black's shape is just kind of crumbling here, and it's going to be tough to recover from that. And it's the bigger mistakes earlier in the game that led us to this that are really important to scrutinize. So anyway, that is where we're going to leave this one today. I hope you guys enjoyed this game. And I hope you guys are looking forward to the next series, the Beyond the Basics series. So anyway, thank you guys for coming out for another ride in the Struggle Bus where every wheel's an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.